semester, and I recently learned about Michelle and her partner's success. Michelle was in my class last year in my senior recital capstone class, and she was sitting right here, like you all were, as part of the class requirement coming to the departmentals just a year ago, and it's been now almost a year since then, and you know, you'll get to hear about her story. Michelle and her partner Charles are now in the College of Business doing their MBAs, and they submitted a business plan proposal for a music online business, and they won $20,000. They got first prize just a month ago, competing with people from all over the country who came for this competition. It was not just a university competition. Some of them had revenues of $1.5 million already going in their businesses. And Michelle and you know, her partner were able to present their plan, which is still a plan right now, right?
We have no product yet.
It's not an existing product yet. And they still were able to be incredibly successful. And I was so proud of Michelle, knowing that she's a concert pianist, she's a classical pianist, and has been in such a short amount of time to, you know, be able to be successful in jumping into the business world and, you know, getting the recognition and support, being a musician herself for all of her life, right? So I'll let them share their story, take you through their journey, and they will also be showcasing their award-winning pitch to the class, which comes in quite handy for all of the students who are going to be, I mean for everyone, but especially for the students who are going to be pitching in the competition next week. I hope that this serves as an inspiration, and feel free to, you know, reach out to Michelle and her partner afterwards and connect, and just, this is all a way for you not just to, you know, learn from their experience passively, but also to connect with them and to develop relationships and hopefully additional partnerships that can help you with your businesses too. You still have a few more months before you graduate, so they'll still be around, you know, so the more you know about these types of opportunities while you're on campus, the better for you. Okay, well, let's welcome them.
So as she just mentioned, my name is Michelle Schodowski, and this is Charles Laws. And as she also mentioned, I just graduated last year from the College of Music with my BA in piano performance. And after, like, as I was nearing graduation, I was trying to decide, like, what to do next, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue with the Master's in Music, because I was feeling quite burned out. And then I got an email about the UNT MBA cohort program, which is only 11 months. And I was like, oh, I'll do that for a year and kind of recover from this burnout. And it turned out to be one of the best decisions I ever made. It was very impulsive. I went to the meeting, and then a week later, I think I applied for the program. And yeah, it's just been crazy doing that shift from music into business. And once I did that, I realized how interconnected business is with literally any field. So the more business knowledge you can obtain, no matter if you're in music or in an English major, it's just going to help you out more. And I'll let Charles introduce a little bit about his background.
Yeah, so I was actually going to come to UNT to do music. Yeah, and then my father, he was telling me, hey, that's not a good idea, there's miscommunication. So I understood that he was telling me, like, threatening me almost that, hey, I'm not going to pay for your school if you do music. And I found out a month ago that that's not what he was trying to tell me. He was just kind of telling me, like, to, like, have a backup plan. So complete miscommunication that kind of altered, I guess, the course of my life. So what I ended up doing was just having a background in technology. My major was in Spanish, but I spent a lot more time at Discovery Park doing like computer stuff, being a nerd over there. I had a couple internships that kind of gave me industry experience with technology, and I just like to do game design and other cool things on the side, at least cool for me. But yeah, that's kind of like my background. I was going to go to a company, but they said, hey, since computer science is your minor, not your major, you can't apply for this role. So I was like, all right. I had this email from UNT College of Business talking about an 11-month MBA program. So I was like, I'll go do an MBA then and see if you want me. But now, I'm not going to go to that company. It looks like life's kind of going to be taking another change with this. So.
Yeah, and then we became partners through this MBA program. That's where we met. And I actually had the idea for our product, which is called Radda, during the music entrepreneurship class. And I was kind of playing with the idea of applying to the business competition, but I felt really insecure with my business knowledge because I had no idea how to develop a business plan or how to even begin doing financial stuff because I never learned how to manage money really well. So I didn't feel like applying for it then, but that idea was always in the back of my head. And so after going through this MBA program a couple months ago, we saw an email for the Rice Business Plan Competition, which we applied to, and that was really exciting. We kind of took a risk with that because the top prize was $300,000 for that one. So we were like, let's just apply and see what happens. We didn't get into it, but by applying for it, we developed this really awesome business plan that we were then able to submit to the EdTech competition, which is the one that we won. So it turned out really good that we tried for that because then we had this business plan that we could just submit, and now we can submit it out to any other competitions that will be relevant to us. So with that, here's how we structured our business plan. So we started with the market reality, and that's just kind of where we described the current situation. So just to give you a brief overview of what Radda is, it's an online service that facilitates the seeking and giving of advice. And through it, reviewers are able to gain extra income, and then users get advice by paying for those reviews. So in creating that market reality, we had to find the problem that we were going to solve. And the problem was musicians are highly underpaid, so this will be a good source of extra income for them. And also, we're constantly seeking out advice to improve our craft, and that's true in any field. We're always looking to others to figure out more. So in that market reality, we presented some research from the Music Institute, Industry Research Association. And they talked about how underpaid musicians are and how everybody's seeking out additional jobs to sustain their living. And so we set up the market reality there, and then we went to the product description. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so for our product description, it's just an online platform where Michelle already kind of described it, where you just have what we call seekers, or music students, and later on, hopefully, we're going to be just doing students in general for any discipline. They can use Radda to find a reviewer of someone that can be anywhere from like a casual, where it's like, hey, I know about something, but I'm not an expert, all the way up to an expert of just using the music example. Say a professor who's also like conducted like for 20 years, and they have a lot of just knowledge and practice under the belt as well. So you got experience, knowledge, just this whole repertoire about you, and you can connect with them. And the idea is you're going to get awesome feedback, quicker, a lot easier than normal. So you can pay a little bit less than you normally would for your typical master class or private lesson. And then we took this idea to the creator of the MBA program that we're in. He's the associate dean of the College of Business, and he said, I see an opportunity for y'all to add a third type of user for this, which was talent search and hiring. And he said, why not? You already have a platform here. It's not going to be any more difficult to just create a little bit more infrastructure to get hiring parties in. These are already people that are trying to find ways to make money with the skills that they're improving. So why not just facilitate that connection as well? So we're like, all right, we'll throw that in there. And so we kind of made a graphic of a business model, just kind of 3 circles with Radda in the middle. Pretty simple, lines connecting them.
Yeah, and you'll see that,
Yeah.
it's a couple slides into the presentation.
And then do you want to talk about benefits?
Yeah, and after that, we identified each of our parties. So you have the seekers, the reviewers, and then talent search and hiring. And we just went through and described the benefits for each party and why they would be wanting to use the service. And then we went to our market analysis, where we identified any potential consumers. And so we focused mainly on was it 390,000 music students
Yeah.
in the United States. And so we did a lot of research in the market just to figure out who are we going to even sell this to and who's going to want to use it. And then, Radda, you do it? Or?
I mean, we, on top of like the Music Industry Research Association / Princeton survey, we also sent out some of ours. Y'all might have filled that out, I don't know, but we had over 100 responses on the student survey. We also sent out to music educators, also over 100 responses, and it correlated really nicely with the Princeton findings. So that's really cool for like just the business competitions. It's like, hey, we're doing our own research. It's Princeton level because we're getting like the same kind of results. So I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the statistic that lined up was how many people seek additional income, right?
Yeah.
It was that, and both of us, we got around 60% on our survey. I think it was like 61, and then Princeton was 64. So it was really cool seeing how closely it correlated there.
And if any of y'all happen to have filled out that survey, just thank you.
Yeah, because we sent it out to
Yeah,
a lot of
appreciate
people at UNT. And also, we went to our competitors and competitive differentiation, so just talking about people who might have the platform to facilitate a similar service and how we're better than them. And then also financials and biographies about ourselves, and then our appendix had our survey results. All right, so now, and also as we were going through this business plan, the number one thing that we learned in our MBA is to create a story. You don't want to just present boring facts that don't really flow together well. So in presenting this business plan, we made sure that there's a really good story, really highlighting the problem at the very beginning, and then going into how our solution is going to solve that problem. And so we also had heavy emphasis on that during our pitch as well. So hopefully you can see how we tried really hard to make it flow and to make it interesting. And so now we're going to go into our pitch that we did for the competition. Okay, so hello, my name is Michelle Schodowski. This is my partner Charles Laws. And today we're going to be presenting a platform that will connect you with experts in your field to help you grow and mature in your craft, whether it be music, art, literature. And this platform will overcome any difficulties in getting these experts due to like financial, geographical, or time constraints. And the name of this platform is Radda. So as a musician, I've had personal experience in realizing how difficult it is to really succeed as a musician. We embark on this lifelong journey full of learning, mostly through collaboration with others. And obtaining this collaboration is not always the easiest. Sometimes experts can be very far away, very expensive, and it can be very hard to get in contact with these experts. And we also realized that musicians have two challenges specifically: attaining this input, and then also we struggle with income too. So trying to make enough money to sustain our living. So as we conducted more research, we realized that these problems transcend into other fields as well. And so with that, we created an effective platform that will facilitate the seeking and giving of advice while fostering valuable connections among educators, students, and lifelong learners.
So Radda accomplishes a few main things. It helps you establish credibility, network and create connections with other people, helps you get that just knowledge and skills and critique, and then it helps supplement your income. So right now, Michelle and I, we're just going to kind of play through what an example of this might look like. So hypothetically speaking, right now, I'm a high school band student. I play saxophone. It's getting close to the end of September. I've been practicing for the all-state band competition. I've been harped on by my band professor how much I suck and how much more I need to practice. So I'm like, all right, I need a more constructive criticism, or I don't need like that one like tip you're telling me. I want to like hear what other things like I need to work on. So what I do is I'll hop on my phone and I'll find a reviewer, and I can choose from 3 categories. I have the experts, which are those with extensive industry knowledge and experience. From the experience category for those that have a medium level of knowledge and experience, or from casual, who might be someone that went through high school or through part of college doing music, but they didn't really stick to it. They still have those skills, but they wouldn't necessarily give you the same advice as a world-renowned musician. So I choose Michelle from here because I've heard good stuff about her. So what I'll do is I'll record myself either on the phone or upload a recording external to the app, and then I'll send it over to her and await her critique.
And on the reviewer end, I have to go through a screening process if I want to be in that professional or experienced tier. If I were a professor or a professional performer, I would gain easy access to that top tier. However, since I'm just a recent music college graduate, I'm in the experienced tier. And once I get Charles's review, or Charles's video, I want to give him the best review possible because he's going to be able to rate me in return. And so that's going to indirectly affect how much I'll be able to charge for my reviews, and it'll also affect my reputation because that review is going to be made public in my profile. And of whatever price I decide to charge for my reviews, Radda is going to take a percentage cut of that.
And so there's also a third party in addition to the seeker review, and that's the talent search and hiring. And this allows for these hiring parties to look for whoever they need, whether that be like a musician for an opening performance, like for the grand opening of some hotel or something, or even like a wedding photographer. And then it also allows the seekers to be able to monetize and utilize the skills that they've been honing throughout this whole process. And it just kind of neatly brings everyone together.
Okay, so now we're going to look at some of the competitors of our service. The first three should be pretty familiar to everybody: Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. I'm sure we use those all on a daily basis. And then the fourth one in the bottom right corner, Masterclass, is an online service which people can pay for pre-recorded classes with masters in pretty much any discipline. So you can get classes from like Gordon Ramsay, James Patterson, or Hans Zimmer. If you want to learn how to write like Hans Zimmer or cook like Gordon Ramsay. And so although all these platforms are very successful and they have a lot of revenue, they are lacking in the advice-giving aspect that Radda will be offering. So if you try to post a video up to Facebook or YouTube, you'll probably get some comments, but maybe not the ones that are going to help you to grow. You'll get something like, "Oh, you look beautiful," or "Oh my gosh, I wish I could play like you." And it's not really going to help you to mature in your craft, and then in the case of masterclass, you don't get any feedback at all.
So since we don't have a beta version yet, we don't even have any market traction, but we have done some research and we can talk about the market environment and the potential there for our product. So what we did was we sent out 2 separate surveys, one to music educators and one to music students. We had over 100 responses on each survey, and we also compared our surveys to a Mira and a Princeton survey that they did together, and we found that our results correlated very nicely with theirs. We found that, hey, the joke about like musicians being like starving all the time and just like that stereotype of, hey, you don't get enough money, completely true. There's data to back that up. And we also found that on the student side, students, they love getting classes, they love getting feedback, and they're willing to spend a pretty good amount of money in order to get that feedback. So we feel that Radda is just like the perfect platform to just bridge these 2 parties together, pay those people that need the supplemental income on the students to just get that critique that they're looking for.
Okay, and so we will be focusing on the music market first for our product because I am a recent graduate of the UNT College of Music, which is one of the most prestigious and largest music schools in the world. And so I've been really lucky to be able to collaborate and learn from so many fantastic musicians and professors. In addition to that, I've also been very lucky to travel abroad and throughout the United States doing different festivals and studying with esteemed professors from like the Juilliard School and the Eastman School. So we want to use my personal contacts to get early adopters onto Radda, so that way we can really tailor the product to them and to what their needs are and what they really want from the product, because our idea may be different from these professionals. So we want to make sure that we get as much feedback as we can in the early stages. And what we'll do is we'll release a minimum viable product, and it'll be very simple. And then from there, we will start reiterating and really trying to edit it very fast to keep up with consumer demand.
Yeah, and so I'm Charles. My role is basically being the tech guy for the company. My background is just in computers. Have academic and industry background. I like to play with computers on the side, but I'm going to take a moment to look at my industry experience. So whenever I was working for in the big oil industry, I was told, hey, we're going to pick you up out of your little cubicle, you're going to start talking to people, and we want you to start just doing problem solving and finding solutions for technological solutions for business problems. So I started talking to people, thinking about technology more from a bigger, generalized view rather than like a nitty-gritty, just like building an application for a ground up. So since I've kind of been divorced from like the whole like building process, one of our next steps is getting a developer to help us build out this product, and I'll help be able to do some of the code and to guide the process, but we really need someone that can really just work the intricacies of that. Beyond that, we also need resources to hire this developer and to get some of the infrastructure for the platform. And we're also going to deliver our marketing efforts towards the musician segment, get that just solid before we start moving on to other segments.
And so, as you can see, we're extremely excited about this service because it has so much potential, not only in the music market, but also there's so much opportunity to expand it. So with that, we would like to thank you for your time and attention. And this is when we opened up the questions to the panel. And so we'll also do that with you all. Do you all have any questions about this?
You couldn't make an official ask, right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
we couldn't make an
You want to
official
clarify
ask.
that, because a lot of what we do when we're talking about the pitches here is that we actually encourage them to describe their ask. So I wanted to make sure they understood why you're not really asking for a specific amount in your pitch. You want to elaborate a little bit on that? Like, it was part of the guidelines, you were not allowed. I read something about that.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to. For the RISE competition that we didn't get into, they actually kind of wanted us to say, hey, if you win this money, what would you do with it?
Right.
So it's a very much like they know that like you're coming out asking for this. Even though the first and second prize was a monetary prize, they said, hey, you don't mention that in your presentation.
Yeah.
So.
For some reason, their guidelines require them not to include a specific monetary amount.
Yeah, and they wanted us to talk about, in our questions, they asked what we were going to do with the money.
Right.
But it was that we can't ask for any additional income. Like if there are any investors sitting in the audience, we couldn't ask for a specific amount from
So
them.
different competitions have different guidelines.
Yeah,
but
and
this is the one you did for this one.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, any questions in the class?
If there's no questions, we can move on.
There
to
will be.
yes.
There will
Okay.
be. It just takes them a little bit
Yeah.
to kind of sink it in. It's a lot of information.
What's your timeline for hoping to get this launched?
So we're looking at another competition I think you all know about, the code launch. So hopefully we'll be able to win that and get the product developed there. So like definitely by the end of the year we need to have a product done. We hope to do that by fall. And then from there we'll start our marketing efforts. But we'll both be pretty much working on this full time after we graduate. I have a small studio right now, 15 students that I'll be continuing. But if need be, if this really takes off, I'm going to drop that and commit full time to this. And he's committing full time too. So we really want to get this going as fast as we can.
Can you talk about the results from the competition, in addition to the money, the connections you were able to make and the people that are now involved in assisting you?
Yeah, so we got the prize money, and then
How much is it again?
20,000. And one of the judges was the vice president of Texas Instruments, and so we have a meeting set up with him in a couple of weeks to talk about our next steps going forward. He's also the president of their educational technology department, so that really aligns closely to what we're doing. So we're hoping to really get a lot of input from him. And also the president of UNT was one of the judges as well, and then two other people from other departments. But we're really excited about the VP from TI.
Yeah.
Big name there. So,
And
but also,
this is something that just evolved as a result of the competition. It's not something it's not included in the prize or
No.
anything. Simply because of your exposure and
Yeah.
connections, now you have this opportunity for additional mentorship, right?
yeah, and he seemed very excited about it. He actually called us the eBay of advice.
Woo!
So being compared to a company that big, even without a product yet, is really exciting. And so he gave us his business card afterwards and told us to follow up with him. And so that's what we're doing. So, yeah. Yes?
You all have any other services going to like evaluate the credentials of say casual person and professional improvement, be like the professionals?
Yeah, So it'll be based on whatever resume or CV they submit to us, so that we can see like their experience, and we also want them to submit a video of their playing, so that we can see like, can this person actually play, or are they making up their resume? So we're going to be evaluating people like that, but we're still finalizing all of that.
Oh, because I was going to ask who will be reviewing, who will be the judge of who is this and that.
Yeah, so right now it's going to be us, because right now in the early stages of a startup, we really want to keep the hiring to a minimum. So we're going to try to stay just 2 of us as long as we can until it's too much for us to take on anymore, because that's a mistake. We've been listening to like a lot of YouTube videos, especially from there's a startup accelerator in California called Y Combinator. We've been listening to their classes online, their lectures, and they say that's one of the biggest mistakes that startups make, is trying to hire too soon. Because then they have these employees to pay, and they're maybe not making enough revenue, so you need to just kind of keep it to the founders at first, who really aren't expecting any income from this at the beginning. Yes?
What are your plans with your 20,000?
So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so right now, we haven't actually gotten the check yet. We're going to, after this, we're going to Student Legal Services to finalize, just get extra pair of eyes on an LLC filing. They wanted us to do that before they actually sent us this check. They said we want to send it to a company, not to an individual.
Oh.
Yeah, so we have the big check, but those are fake. It's a promise. But after that, we're basically, I think, going to probably put it into like a CD or something for a little bit, let it gain interest, make money with that money, while we...
Certificate of deposit,
Yeah.
not CD.
Yeah, not a music CD.
They may
Big
not
CD.
know what that means.
Completely different, yeah. Because we're looking at the code launch, and hopefully we can get a minimum viable product without having to spend a dime. And then we can use that $20,000 to continue a contract with Code Authority, or to look at other developers to kind of take the MVP and just continue work on that, just enhancing it.
What length of CD are you planning on putting in it?
It'd probably be like just a 3-month, but that's like better than your typical savings account.
It is right now?
At least for
Because it wasn't a year ago.
at least for personal stuff,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, no, I recently opened up a personal CD. I haven't actually looked at business
Okay,
CDs, so
yeah.
that's actually something.
Yeah, we also got to set up the bank account too. So yeah, business bank account. Yes.
What does Radda mean?
Okay, so I'm half Polish. My dad's 100% Polish, and RADA is the Polish word for advice. And so that's actually that's a government agency right now. So we were considering the search engine optimization and picking out our name. So we wanted to show up on the first page of Google whenever you enter the name. So we added an extra D to it, because the only thing that shows up when you put RADA is a city in Italy. So yeah. Any others?
What's your plan for when you have the product for marketing these products?
So the way we plan on marketing at first is not going to be very scalable at all, but it's going to be similar to what Airbnb actually did in their marketing plan. What they did was they had a lot of trouble getting people to like their idea, because they were another company that was at Y Combinator. Y Combinator has sponsored a lot of companies like Dropbox, Airbnb. Who else was it? Lots of big companies.
Yeah.
But Airbnb went there, and when they first presented their idea, they're like, oh, that's really weird. But they were able to make it into there by, they created presidential cereals boxes that were limited edition, and so they funded their company initially through that, and that's what got them into Y Combinator, because they were like, that's really gutsy. But anyways, at Y Combinator, they had a lot of trouble scaling their service, because everybody thought it was weird. Why do you want to invite strangers into your home? So what they did was Y Combinator suggested that they go to their current consumers and try to see what's wrong with their product right now. Why aren't people getting on it? So they went to people individually, talked to them, got advice, realized that their platform is not as intuitive as they thought it was to the typical user. So that we plan on doing a similar thing there too, going to these musicians and professors directly, a lot of my personal connections, and then from there we hope that it's going to be trickle-down marketing to where people are going to recommend it to their friends, and professors will recommend it to their students. So that's the plan right now.
Michelle, talk to us about your transition into the MBA program?
So I've been in music my whole life. I was like, I'm going to go all the way through to my doctorate in music. And then I just got so burned out by senior year. My professor was pretty rough on me, and I needed a break. I was so tired emotionally. And like I said, I got an email about this MBA. I was like, oh, go get an MBA. And it was really rough at first because there's another music major in the MBA cohort, but all of us come from very different backgrounds, but everybody's wanting to go into the corporate industry for the most part. So we did a lot of different industry visits to places like GameStop, Southwest Airlines, Accenture, Toyota. So we went to these big companies and we did projects for them. And in doing these projects, I kind of felt a lot of pressure to go the corporate route. So I was like, I had like kind of like a little breakdown, I guess, because I was like, I don't know what to do because I really love music. And so the more we went to these industry visits, I was like, I can't give up music. And so that's when I started taking the more entrepreneurial route. It's like, I'm just going to work for myself. And the original plan was to start a music school eventually when I finished my MBA. So it was like, that'll give me a lot of good practical experience to learn how to manage a school. But now it's taking a different direction. I'm still managing my studio, but now I'm using all this business knowledge that we've been able to learn to put forth towards this. And in the MBA, we took a lot of different classes like accounting. That was awful.
Can you talk to us about the prerequisites that you had to complete in order to enter? Because you did not have the typical background that another business student or any other major as a musician. You had none of those prerequisite courses that you need in order to start the MBA. Can you tell us how you were able to do that?
So it was really cool the way they have this program set up because they do not want business majors in this program. They wanted, because they think that business majors are very closed-minded, so they wanted people from all disciplines in this cohort. And so all the prerequisites, like for accounting and finance and stuff, they were online modules that you could, it's like 6 chapters that you complete for the program for each class. There's like 7 prerequisites we have to do.
And there's like 4 weeks at a time, or what? How long?
It's however fast you can do it.
Yeah, each class is open up for 3 months at a time, so you can do it as fast or as slow as you want, as long as you
What
finish
would
it
be the average
within 3
time
months.
it takes you to complete each one of these courses?
You can finish it in a week.
Yeah.
A week?
Yeah, so it's
In 1 week you can complete a prerequisite course.
Yes.
Yeah, I finished one in 2 days because I was going to go visit family, and so I said I'm not going to do this on my vacation. So I basically didn't sleep for like one night, and I just like knocked the whole thing out. So,
And you have to do 7 of these prerequisite
give or
courses?
take, yeah.
But we did them after we were already accepted into the program.
Oh, okay.
So that wasn't like a contingency to get accepted. It was just something that you do after the fact, and if you don't do it, then they'll kick you out of the program. So you want to make sure that you do it. But
So you did them, I think you mentioned over a few breaks and something?
yeah, I did most of them during the summer, and then I did like 2 over Christmas break, and then I did 2 during that break between the summer and fall session, and then 1 during Christmas break.
And how would you say the level of challenge was for a musician? In other words, would you say it was accessible? Was it something doable? Was it extremely challenging for a musician trying to get into those courses and to understand, especially doing it essentially on their own because it's online? How would you say, like in terms of difficulty, these prerequisite courses were?
I definitely felt like it was a challenge getting back into math after a while. So like the accounting and finances classes I really struggled with, but
They're doable?
they're doable. You just kind of have to navigate all the business jargon. There's a lot of new language that we had to learn, but that was the main point of doing these prerequisites, is to get us accustomed to the language.
Okay.
Not so much to really learn a lot, but just to kind of get familiar with how business people talk and get familiar with like the language associated with
So you were able to do it all pretty much on your own and just going through the online modules and completing them?
Pretty much, yeah. Like I said, I struggled a lot with accounting, and my sister's a business major at SMU, and so I got her help on it. She's really good at accounting, but that was the main thing that I struggled with, is the accounting.
And then once you passed all these prerequisites and you entered, you did them already while you were in the program. So then joining the program, tell us more about that. So you said most of the students are not business majors.
Yeah, so that made me feel a little bit better, I guess, going into it, knowing that we're all in the same boat, taking these classes for the first time. And I think like the professors, they kind of started off their classes with like, oh, you guys know about business, but then they realized that we actually don't. So they kind of tailored the classes to us and made it more understandable and accessible to us, which was really, really nice being in this cohort because it's 23 of us going through all the same classes for 11 months. So we're all in the same room for 11 months going through everything together. So we've really developed like a community, and we're kind of like a little family in the cohort. Yes?
So I feel like being with just 23 people for 11 months, do you feel like you just described it as a community? Is part of that, is part of the thinking that that is both creating community but also increasing competition?
So
is
they
it a
actually,
competitive environment? I would imagine it must be.
they had the cohort before us, they had a lot of issues with competition.
Oh, really?
Yeah, do you know much? I just heard like it kind of,
There's drama, but I don't know
there's a lot of
anything.
drama in it, and like people trying to sabotage each other's job applications, I think.
Oh, wow.
So, because they were all applying for the similar jobs. But in our cohort, we got like a good batch of people that aren't that unethical, I guess.
But coming from such different backgrounds, it's interesting that you would end up applying for the same types of jobs because you would think that your different backgrounds give you more diversity in terms of potential jobs you're going to do with all of that, right?
Yeah, well, I think like in our cohort, there's
Like you're
more.
a musician, you wouldn't
Yeah.
want the same job that he does, you know, in
Yeah.
terms of you have a computer technology background. I mean, you know, you're using the business skills, the MBA to get all of this business acumen, but your backgrounds are so different that I'm a little curious as to how that could actually end up happening.
I think part of it's because through these industry visits that we go to, we've basically been free consultants for about like 11 companies.
Okay.
So like through those connections, I think a lot of people, they feel more comfortable applying to the companies that they've already interacted with.
Oh, I see.
And so that's a small amount, and then so it's companies will say, well, right now we're not hiring for necessarily like a musician or technology person, but we do have finance, marketing, just those two. It's like, all right, like we kind of all have a decent understanding of that, so you'll have 5 people maybe applying for the same job.
Oh, I see.
And also,
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what happened last year.
yeah, and also it seems like the people in the MBA program, they're taking a big shift from their undergraduate degrees. They realized in their undergraduate degree that they don't really want to continue with that. Like we have some biology majors, we have another music major there, she's going to go the marketing route. So they're all kind of thinking that they want to go more business, mostly because of money. Yeah, so they're all have like this major shift in their careers that they're making through this program.
Can you tell us more about those consulting projects you did with these industries? We're doing several consulting projects here with different music business industries too. And so I'm curious to know how your experience in the College of Business doing those consulting projects with these industries, all these different industries were. Like how were those organized? How were those done?
So starting in September, I think our first visit was Southwest Airlines, and we went, they gave us kind of an HR challenge, and they said, hey, like how do we decrease employee turnover, so like just keeping employees working for us longer, which they have the lowest turnover rate in, not even just the industry, just like in companies in general, it's like 3%, and so it's
I think
like
it was 2 actually.
2%, yeah, some like single digits. It's like, all right, how Southwest Airlines? Yeah, so it's like, how do you even improve on that?
On that
So-
rate?
Yeah, so, and the idea isn't necessarily that we're going to give them the solution to their problem, but maybe just direction on where to go, and it also helps us get acclimated to, hey, how do I solve like these hard problems in the business world? So that's one example. We also had a semester-long project with a startup called One Day, which is kind of like a video storytelling for senior living. So that way, the families of the residents in senior living facilities, they'll be able to have like these stories and this memory that they can carry for the rest of their life to remember their mom, dad, grandfather, whoever. And so that's, we made a complete marketing proposal. Ours was like, what, 50-ish pages or something? 40, 50
It was
pages.
extensive.
Someone had like a 70-page one, but that we spent the entire semester for that one. So
Marketing proposal for that company.
yeah, so anywhere from like a week to a semester with different companies. This semester, we've only had 4 companies that we're working for. 3 of them are for one class, and we had about 2 to 3 weeks for each one, so it's slightly longer, but still that high-paced kind of thing because you're dealing with tests and presentations for class, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool program. It's a lot to be condensed in 11 months. So we're definitely all very stressed.
And in terms of your schedule, because that's one of the things that a lot of students who are maybe considering this program have issues with in terms of musicians and gigs and the teaching, how would you say you were able to manage? Because you still have a studio with students, and so in terms of managing that, what are your thoughts? Is it possible to still have some side things?
I think so.
Major?
Going into the program, they all told us you can't have a job doing this. So they were like, everybody drop your jobs. And just work on this full time. Because we have classes 9 to 12 every single day. We have one class each day. So we're taking 5 classes a semester, it's 15 hours. And in addition to that, we do team projects that we end up working on for an additional sometimes 5 to 8 hours after that in the evening. So it's a lot of teamwork together.
Every day?
Pretty much.
Almost every day, yeah.
Really?
It's
Yeah, it's
lot.
a good day if you don't have like any meetings afterwards.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
mostly meetings every single day. We also had to work through spring break on a lot of papers and projects, which is kind of annoying, but it's just one spring break. But I think if you have a flexible job, like me with my studio, I'm able to cancel lessons if I have a deadline that I really need to meet. I can also move people around. I teach mostly on the weekends too, on Saturdays and Sundays. So I'm pretty full throughout the whole week. But it's manageable, especially if you are driven and you need that income, then I think that it's possible to have a flexible job with it.
Great. We have a few minutes left.
We have a couple more slides too.
Sure.
We had some of our tips as we went through this. So first thing, ensure that there's a real need for your solution beyond just yourself. You want to make sure that you're not just solving a problem that you have. It needs to be applicable to a large market that you can actually sell to.
And you want to just be like super passionate about that because, I mean, like we said, we're going to kind of go into this full time. And I was originally thinking, hey, I'm going to like go ahead and get that corporate job and do this on the side. And then just talking to people and just, I think it's something I already realized in the back of my mind. I didn't want to admit was like, hey, you're going to have to step out, take a risk, not take like that 5 to 6 figure job, and just like go without money for a while, see if this is going to work. So, and I think that if this is going to succeed, that's the right call to make. You got to be passionate, give yourself to it. You can't just kind of like spend 5 minutes or whatever on it a day. It's got to kind of be what you live and breathe for a little while.
Yeah, and I think like the big misconception, I'm sure like as musicians you all realize this, you're constantly working, but like the big misconception in other industries, when other people pursue an entrepreneurial route, they like quit their full-time job and like, oh, I'm going to have all this flexibility, I'm going to be my own boss, but in reality you're working more hours a day. On your product, you're working more like 12 hours a day because there's just so much to do, you're managing it all on your own, so it's a lot more work than people might realize. And then also research. Do all your research and make sure that you know what you're talking about. You don't want to just pull numbers out of your butt and hope that people believe it. They're going to ask where you got that, so you have to cite everything, make sure it comes from a reliable source. They don't want to hear assumptions, so you have to have everything backed up.
Yeah, and after you finish doing that, you just got to do even more research. So that's just the reality of it. And then after you finally finish that research, you're going to take that research to experts and kind of have people poke holes in your plans. They're going to turn you around and say, hey, do even more research. But in all seriousness, they will be super helpful. They'll say, hey, this is good numbers here. It's boring. This is how you make a story with that and get people interested because people don't pay for numbers. They pay for ideas, for stories, for just kind of like the ethos involved behind all the research.
Yeah, so we've been reaching out to a lot of our professors for additional input, and our innovation professor actually was the one that suggested the talent search and hiring. That was I think it was like the day before we submitted to the RICE competition that we went and changed our business plan. So we worked really hard to make sure that was solid, because it was a really good idea. And then also, with anything that you do, make sure there's a story to it. If like I mentioned before. And you also want to develop different versions of your pitch. You want to be able to talk about it in 30 seconds, and you also want to have more extensive 10-minute, 15-minute, even up to an hour. So you have to kind of have these scripted and prepared so you can be prepared to give a pitch in whatever amount of time that you have.
Yeah.
How are we doing?
We have 1 minute, maybe.
Okay.
Actually, we're pretty much done, but we
Okay,
can wrap
we-
it up.
Yeah, we can just stop there. If there's any
Okay,
other
well, thank
questions?
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also,
How are we going to get a vote?
So there's our, you can connect with us on social media, and then also there's our personal emails, and I also have some business cards too, with my contact info on it if anybody wants it. We can try to help you as much as we can.
Thank
Let
you
me
so
know.
much.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
coming, and
Thank you for having us.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.